issues today. We're reconnecting. It says I'm live, so we'll see. It says, okay, I think we're back. It's funny because my internet's been fine so far this whole time up until like 10 a.m. and all of a sudden it's being wonky on me. So whatever, can't fix it. So I'm just gonna work with it. So today, there are 6 days until Christmas. I freaking love Christmas. This is my favorite time of year. I just love it. Everything about it. And so I'm really excited because when we come down to this point of time, the 6 days, I get excited when it's a single digit to Christmas, and now we're within a week. And I think part of it is, back from my overwhelmed days and just working. I was booked solid as a massage therapist and, just worked a lot. I had to slowly, as I kind of understood what I was doing to myself, stress and anxiety wise, I did kind of cut back my hours a little bit and adjust my schedule to really give myself the quality of life I wanted, as opposed to just like the hustle, hustle. I'm going to burn out, but ooh, look at all my money. Right. And there's lots of ways to make money, raise your prices, do something else on the side, whatever it might be. It doesn't have to be working yourself to death. And when I finally understood that, or even just making some lifestyle choices of where do I need or not need to spend my money. Like every time I leave the house, I don't necessarily need to buy a $10 Starbucks, right? So just deciding kind of like, well, if I don't drink the Starbucks as much, if I bring my own coffee from home, I can take one less client on Friday and be done work by lunchtime instead of mid-afternoon type thing. Like just small minor adjustments, just things to consider. It doesn't have to be great big grand things, right? So I really, yeah. And I think so in my overwhelm of having been, working just, oh my God, for all my entrepreneurs out there, depending what your job is, we all know and we all understand when you own your own business, there's so much more. There's the actual literal work you do with your clients, your clientele, your shop, whatever it is, the actual selling, whatever that might look like for you. But then there's the behind the scenes, right? And it's all about understanding the behind the scenes is a lot of time that it takes up in your schedule. So as the massage therapist, you say like I take 6 clients in a day. Oh, well, you're only working 6 hours, but you have to think, the person has to come in, they take their shoes off, we go into the room. Hey, how are you? What's going on? Tell me how everything's been. How's your back? How's your neck? How's, just how's life? Tell me how you've been doing since we last saw each other. That's a good 15 minutes right there, sometimes 20. Then they have to get undressed, get on the table. Then your 60-minute massage starts once I come in the room and actually start massaging them. I don't just give them 60 minutes and we spend half the time chatting. Like, no. So, we're already up to an hour 15, an hour 20. Then once the hour massage is done, you have to leave. We come out, they have to pay, have to rebook. Sometimes you're chatting some more. Here's some home care I'd love you to do. That is another 10, 15 minutes. So on average, every 1 hour appointment is at least an hour and a half of my time. Now, once they leave, I have to go in, I have to clean up the room, sanitize things, whatever it might be, change all the sheets, do the things. And especially during COVID, you were like literally wiping down the entire room, spraying the furniture like it was quite the stuff, right? You go in, make sure if they use the bathroom, you have to clean up the bathroom, make sure that still looks good for the next person. So, your 1 hour client is now more like an hour 45. So it was just understanding all this back end stuff. Then there's the end of the day. Well, you're charting. Now, depending if I had time, I would chart right after the person. If I'm waiting for the other person to show up, I would get my charting done right then and there. Yeah, as massage therapists, we keep files and charts just like doctors do because we want to track how you're doing, what's going on, what you've had in your past, what we're working on, how everything's going. I can't just rely on my memory. I've got, couple hundred clients, maybe I see you every other month. I'm not going to remember necessarily. Maybe I do, but I don't want to forget. So we have to chart everything, we have to track everything. And there's also, in the case of like MVAs, if someone has a car accident, they can use your massage therapist files to show, I did not have this problem before I had this car accident. I had this car accident. Now I'm really messed up, and my massage therapist notes are going to tell my story. So there's a lot of alternative reasons why we need to keep these charts, keep these notes. They are very useful for many different reasons. So you can get that done, and it's a good 5 minutes. You don't want to be skipping out on your patient notes. You really want to make sure you write everything down, and that includes, if they're complaining about any like mental stuff, like how is their stress, because stress all goes into our body. That all affects everything. So we're not just charting what we did, how their muscles are doing. It's the homework we give you, what we talked about, things going on in your life that are notable, right? So again, a good 5 minutes per chart. And then at the end of the day, there's all the laundry to do. That is a massage therapist's life. Laundry, hours of just laundry and folding and putting back. And so it really is. So I did the math on this, and it worked out to be like, if I had a full six clients in a day, taking lunch breaks, because everyone else gets to, in their 9 to 5s, they get to account their coffee breaks and their lunch breaks in that 9 to 5 of working 40 hours a week, right? For most people. So you count in actually eating and stuff like that. And my my fully booked day, 6 clients, would actually be closer to about a 10-hour working day once I have to, clean my room, do all the sheets, do all the charting, do my payments, put it all in my accounting, all of that stuff. So it really is the entrepreneur of like having all that back end stuff. And especially if you have a store, there's all this inventory, there's all this cataloging, there's ordering, like there's just a lot to it, right? So never discount how much work you put into your business, right? But having said that, because we're very busy, I think one of the reasons I love Christmas so much is I would always take at least a week, if not a week and a half off. And for me, Christmas is all about being in pajamas, being on the couch, stuffing my face, and just relaxing, just doing nothing. I would always joke with my clients. They'd be like, "Oh, what are you doing on the Christmas break?" And I'd always be like, "Well, my first day off, I'm going to see how little I can move." That would always be my goal. How little can I move that first day? Because that's all we do as massage therapists. We don't sit. We're always standing. We're always moving. If I'm lucky, I get to sit down while I'm waiting for the next client. But usually that might only be like 30 seconds, a minute, maybe 5 minutes if I was lucky. And so you're really just basically on your feet all day. So sitting is not something we do a lot. And so, yeah, I'd be like, I'm just going to sit and it's going to be amazing. And it always was. So it's just been ingrained in me, just also my love of Christmas, but mixed with that, that's when we really get to just be couch potatoes, guilt-free, love it, stuff our face. That's what it's about. Now, guys, I will say, having said that, I also balance everything. Yes, I'm stuffing my face. I'm eating extra cookies. Give me all the stuffing and gravy and mashed potatoes. But I know this. I work out extra beforehand. I work out extra after. I don't neglect my body. I also drink extra green tea while I'm gorging on all this stuff, because I know green tea will help my body, not absorb that fat. It's boosting my metabolism so I can burn off more of the cookies I'm eating and stuff like that. And it's just green teas. I could go with the anti-inflammatory properties that help my body not be triggered by the sugar, which I make all my own cookies and stuff, and I use natural raw cane sugar and stuff. So and I use a lot of honey instead of the processed. Try and make it as natural as possible, but still, too much sugar is too much sugar. So yeah, it's all of these wonderful things. So I do get just very, very excited for this time of year. But that also really brings up all of the extras. And I really want to reiterate and just have that reminder for people to really think about what your expectations are. I think back massaging, and I had so many clients that were just how many 4 or 5 different houses they'd have to go to in 2 or 3 days, and all the running around they'd have to do. And a lot of people, I remember talking with one client in particular, and she just hated it. She had to do 4 houses in 2 days. The kids hated it also because they open up their gifts, and they wouldn't be allowed to take them out of the package or really play with them because it would make a mess, and then they just have to pack it up anyway. So it was like, okay, you can like actually play with that and open it up and spill all the small pieces once we get it home. We don't want to lose anything here. And so it was all this big kerfuffle. She didn't like it. The kids didn't like it. In the end, they actually decided that, you know what? People can come to us next year. We're not doing this. We go to everyone's house always. We've got the little kids. We're not doing this next year. And I thought that was great. They had such a wonderful Christmas after. People did come to them. They did that compromise. And it was just about her setting that boundary and sticking to it. And also explaining to people, if you, as a grandparent or an aunt or an uncle or whatever, you don't have little kids, you don't have to pack up the bags that go with, little kids. You don't have to deprive them of opening a gift if it's going to be something that has to be cleaned up or pieces lost or whatever, right? Depending what that gift is. Like trudging around these small littles to different houses, all the snowsuits and stuff, like it is such a chore. I don't have kids, but even like when we take our dog places, I used to love taking my dogs to my mom's house. My mom would love it also, but you're taking like a bag of stuff with you, even just for the dogs, right? Even when we'd love to go to the mountains. We love traveling with our dogs. But packing for them is almost like packing for a child. You're like, okay, do we have all their toys? Do we have their dishes? Where's their food? Do they have, this and that? Do they have any medications that they're on? Because, the big guy, he's older. He's got some pills and some powders he's on. And it was just like, okay, we need, how many dog beds do we bring? Because where we're going, they don't have any dog beds. Do we need to bring extra towels if it's wet or if it's muddy? We need to bring something to clean off their paws. Like, all of these things you have to think of, right? And it really can be quite the hassle. So really getting back to the expectations of like, why are you doing it? If it's something like you love going back to your parents' house, all the packing is worth it. It's one of those you still enjoy it, even though it causes a bit of stress and it's a bit of a to-do, it's still enjoyable, then awesome, that's great. But if it's like, while you're packing up, you're hating it. You're driving there, you're hating it. You're there, you're just kind of irritated because you have to leave soon. And there's not really a lot or any enjoyment to be had, then I really, really would challenge you to rethink why you're doing that. Because also remember, it's not just, not just that you're people pleasing and placating this person at the expense of your and your family's happiness, but you're also really being counterproductive for that relationship. Like, let's say it's your parents' house. You're straining the relationship with you and your parents because you're bringing in all that negative energy in going to their house and spending that time with them. Whether if you reach some sort of other compromise where you could actually have a pleasant visit, there's none of that negativity in there, none of that irritation. You're going to be strengthening that bond. It's going to be a very positive thing. So it's not just about your, stress, anxiety, your mental state, but it's also that relationship. Every time we're doing things and we're bringing negativity into a relationship, we're really just harming that bond, right? So just little food for thoughts to really, again, keep Christmas as stress-free as possible, as enjoyable as possible for everyone. And also really take that step and think about the people in your life. Like, there are some people in your life that just need boundaries, period. So it's kind of like, especially at Christmas. So not to let them manipulate you or guilt you into something when they're the person that needs the boundaries anyway. It's kind of like that person where they're just never happy. No matter what you do for them, no matter what you say, it's never right. They're never happy. It's just not a great situation. Those people need boundaries. For whatever reason, they have stuff to work through. Who knows why they're like that? But really set those boundaries up, figure that out, soul search yourself. Why am I doing this? Do I need to keep doing this? Is this actually something that resonates? Is this benefiting my family at all? Right? And then at the end of the day, this is a big one, to really also keep away that negativity. Well, it works for me. Hopefully it'll work for you. Is to remember, because okay, I'll tell like a little bit of a backstory of what usually happens for a lot of us being overwhelmed, being stressed, is we have to go somewhere, we have to do something. So we pack everything up, we go to that place, we're irritated, and then we let it fester. I don't want to be here. I want to leave, blah, blah, blah. And we make all these things and we start like playing the victim, right? Poor me. I have to be here. I don't want to be here. This is that, blah, blah, blah. I have to put up with that person over there, whatever. You bring that negativity into the whole experience and it's just like feeds on itself. By the time you leave, you're just like, oh my God, I want to go. You're driving home, you're still angry. And then sometimes it'll be like, you're just like, oh my God, thank God we're finally leaving. But you've allowed all that negativity to basically ruin your evening. You've allowed it, you've dragged it with you to the place you went, and you've really fed on it, or I should say, even fed it while you're there. Because you've put a taint on everything. Like maybe Christmas dinner was actually really tasty, but you didn't allow yourself to enjoy it because you're so unhappy at being here. You know, maybe there was a wonderful cake and you wanted to have the dessert, but you were so cranky, you're like, I don't eat cake. I don't have dessert. I'm watching my weight. And deep down, you wanted to have it, but you're in such a kind of sour state. You're lashing out. And then, the next day you're like, "Oh, I really wish I would have had that." Everyone says how good it was, but you prevented yourself from doing that, right? So just to recognize these habits we tend to do, especially we get mad, we cling on to it, we hang on to that anger, we stay mad for days. If you ever have done this, I've done this in my past where like 2 days later, 3 days later, I don't even know why I was mad. I just know I'm still mad. So I find other things to be mad about. And that's a big thing we do. When we get upset and we kind of let ourselves sink into it, we find other things to feed it. We start nitpicking. We start just being kind of ugly people to feed our negativity. Nobody wants to be like this. This is not a happy, pleasant state to be in, but we get caught up in it. We get sucked into it. So I would really, 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 really challenge you guys to just keep in the back of your mind. I do this with myself all the time. If you have decided to people please and you're going someplace you really don't want to go, but you've decided you have to and you're going to do it, then understand that you have made your choice. And so you have to own that and accept it and make the best of it. Right? This is one of those, like, I've used this analogy forever, and mostly because earlier in my days, like I'm very health conscious, very try and stay fit. I shouldn't say I have a background in nutrition. I just know a lot about nutrition because I've done a ton of research. I haven't actually taken any degrees or courses in it. I'm just very conscious of it, and I've done a lot of research. So one of the big things I used to deal with a lot of people, my friends, I'd help them work out or help them with food. My clients, I'd suggest things for them, healthy fats, yada, yada, all of these different things. And so I would always say, you can't complain about being fat as you're shoving your fifth cheeseburger in your mouth. You've made your choice. You're choosing to eat bad food that you know is going to make you gain weight. So you cannot complain about gaining weight. You're making your choice. Eat the cheeseburger, be happy about it, and then do something about it after. Like, you've made your choice. Nobody's force feeding you. Nobody's forcing you to do anything, right? Similarly, if you've decided to go, nobody dragged you. There's no gun pointing. You're not tied up, bound in someone's trunk, showing up at your parents' house. I don't want to be here. Like, you chose to do this. However much you don't want to do it, if you've chosen to go along with it, you have made your choice. So make the best of it. Whether that's just, choosing to enjoy a nice punch or eggnog they have, choosing to be like, hey, this isn't the worst turkey I've ever had. That's okay. These mashed potatoes are really good. Find those positives to help make that situation the best it can be. Because again, you've chosen to put yourself in it. So playing the victim and being like, poor me, I have to be here. Well, you made the choice to be there. As much as we convince ourselves, but I have no choice, I had to go. We always have a choice. The choice is I have chosen to make my parents happy by being here, even though I don't want to. I'm not going to tell them I don't want to be here. I'm going to show up and I'm going to enjoy it because I decided to do this for them. Right? There is always a choice. And we're always constantly making choices. Even when we decide not to choose, we're choosing to allow someone else. And therefore, we still are responsible for the consequences that they choose. Right? Everything's a choice. When you think you're not choosing, you're still choosing. So understand that you've made your bed and now you have to sleep in it. But it doesn't have to be this horrible negative thing. Right? There are always ways to make things better. It's just about letting it go, releasing the, I don't want to be here. Take your deep breaths and be like, I made my choice. How can I make this the best it can be? Flip your mind into that positive and start trying to find the good things. And maybe there's only a couple. Like, I've heard stories of some people's family gatherings and they can be quite interesting. Maybe you just need to, I know I've had to do this with certain people where the conversation is not going to be a productive one. They are kind of that person that talks at you instead of having a conversation with you. And so what I always do is like, I know this is going to make me angry. I know this conversation is not going to be fruitful whatsoever. So I'm going to sit here and not really participate. I'm going to make that choice because I know it's going to be better to not participate in the conversation. I'm just going to people watch. And then it's also about reinforcing that positivity of like, if you see the other two people start arguing and that person talking at them because they're going to do it, right? Where you just kind of like, yes, I made the right choice. I'm glad I'm not part of this conversation. Instead of, fuming at them and being like, you do this every time. Well, if they're going to do it, why are you so upset about it? They do this every time. You've still chosen to be there. You've still chosen to listen to it, right? Like you can walk away. You can go to another room. Like, I mean, politely, I don't necessarily recommend zoning out and just ignoring people. That's not always the nicest thing. But if that's what you have to do, there's all of these little tricks, right? So just remember, why are you doing it? Is this something that you really should be doing for you and your family? Does it resonate? And then if you still choose to do it, maybe, like next year, I don't want to do it, but this year, I'm just not ready to make that confrontation. I'm just going to do it anyway. Okay, you're making your choice, accept that. And then how can you make it the best it can be? So again, maybe that's you're going to bring a few extra things to like get you through the night. Whatever it might be, make preparations or just like understand you made your choice. How can you make it the best it can be? Right. And then go from there. And the other thing, you know what? I went off on such a tangent there because that really is an important one, especially this time of year. Oh, that's the other thing is, it's still under expectations. Is just, again, really not comparing yourself. Because again, that's a societal expectation. Like, I have to give my kids this. We have to give X number of gifts. We have to. Like, why? So, as an example, this year, I am very, very mindful about the gifts I'm giving. I know for my family, like my mom and my brother, we always kind of have a dollar amount. We're very number oriented people, and we're very about fairness. I don't know where exactly this all comes from, but so one person doesn't get all the gifts and other people kind of get left out and get like one or two gifts. We have like, okay, we're going to spend X number on everyone. Oh, that's what it was. Not everyone always has a ton of money. And we decided years and years ago that it's not about the money and it's not about the gifts. So we put $1. It was $100 we spend on each person maximum. And that's it. We just stop. There's no more. And that way we don't get carried away and we're not like out of pocket. Because especially, I know my mom, she still says this to this day where she always sees things to buy me. Always. So she could spend like probably, a couple grand on me easily throughout the year and just overload me with gifts. So put that dollar amount, take that pressure off. But this year, I'm being very conscious because, especially if you guys know this, a lot of people can be very hard to buy for, especially as adults. We're grown adults. If we want things, we just go out and buy them. We don't need things. Our houses are full. Even like my mom, she lives in a smaller place, so there's not a lot of room to store things. So, she doesn't have any extra room for any extra stuff. She's pretty set up. She's had inherited all of her parents' stuff. So, what do you buy people that, are grown adults who have everything they need and don't really want anything, right? So, I've been very conscious about what I'm buying this year. And I've decided if they only get, let's say, $40 worth of things, because those are only the meaningful gifts I found, then that's all they're going to get. And I've told them that I'm not buying you guys junk to fill the void. I'm not just, the expectation of just having to give all these gifts because that's what we do. That's not what Christmas is about. And I'm not having this, them getting stuff that they're just going to um, shove under the bed or donate or like never use. And they're just like, why did they get me this? That feeling of the void because we feel the pressure of having to buy gifts. No, it's going to be meaningful and it's going to be something I truly think you like or need, or it's not going to be anything. Very purposeful with my purchases this year. And honestly, I'm going to say a side effect is just I feel so great because I know everything I'm getting someone. I'm like, ooh, I can't wait for you to open that. Ooh, you're going to open it. Like, it's bringing me so much more joy just in shopping in this way. So the return on investment of it is just fantastic. And again, I think they're going to be so much happier and appreciative of. So I'm just spreading the joy, guys. Just joy in being frugal and purposeful. So really just take that into mind, right? Like, why, even with the gifts, why are you buying it? Do they need it, or are you just filling some weird quota, right? So just to really keep that in mind. This goes back to, I'm pretty sure I talked about last week, that book, The Having. I left it upstairs, so I don't have it with me, but it's all about spending money wisely, making good choices. And even the last chapter I read, she thought, oh, I've been spending more money because in having, it's a red light, green light purchase. It's not about the dollar amount. So if something's more expensive than you would normally spend, but you get the green light to buy it according to these little having signals, you just buy it. So when she got her first credit card statement after really truly practicing having, she's like, oh, it's going to be so much more than I had last time, but that's okay because I'm attracting my wealth by practicing this. So I just accept it because I know I have money to pay the bill. Practicing having again, right? She opens up her credit card bill and it's $500 less than it normally is. And she's like, what? But when she goes through the statement, there's none of the wasteful spending she would normally do. Those red light purchases are not in there. There's no impulsive buying. There's no buying stuff just because it's on sale. There's none of that. So in practicing having, of not really worrying about what something costs, only worrying about like intuitively and following your gut and these having signals. Should I buy this? Is this a green light purchase? She's actually saving a lot of money because she's not wasting it on all of these others. And I love that. And just this book is amazing, right? So part of that is that, like, yeah, let's make green light gift purchases. Is this something that resonates? Is this something I actually should buy someone? So it really is fantastic. You know what? I just want to say, guys, I just started a Facebook group for having. So if you're on Facebook, Sonia LD is my name. Obviously, you know my face. My profile picture's there. Look me up if you want. It's just a group. It's not like coaching. It's absolutely free. It's just a group where we're going to be living according to having and supporting each other. So if anyone has questions about it, if you haven't read the book yet, but you really want to get in on practicing it, come to this group. Getting in there, because it also says in the book, you want to start. You don't have to, but a way to expedite the return is to start tracking your having, to write them down and like journal, but track them I have blah, blah, blah. I feel blah, 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 whatever. Or I practiced the red light, green light purchase, and I'm feeling really great because I followed the signals and I made my purchase and I'm very comfortable and at peace with it. And so when we're in this group, so you actually have the event you're going to tell us about. And then when you write it in the group, you're reliving it. So off one having practicing, you're actually going to get 2 times the return on it. And especially if you're like me, if you write it on paper, you're going to get 3 times the return on one singular practicing event. So I just think this is the bee's knees. I'm very excited. And you don't have to have had read the book. You just need to be committed to practicing what happens. So I did have a video. I kind of give a rough go around of the rules, how it works, yada, yada. So if you're interested, look me up. You can also Google on Facebook, if you're on Facebook, in the search bar, The Having under groups. And my group, I checked, for me, it's the first one that pops up. So red book, it's right there. You can't miss it. So, yeah, guys, I really wanted to reiterate the trying to make Christmas as stress-free as possible and really remembering why you're doing something, those expectations you have on yourself of, oh, I have to do, it's not Christmas if I don't do X, Y, Z. And says who? Who made these rules? Really? There are no rules. There are no rules. Like, you do what feels right for you, what feels right for your family. If your kids are like, I don't want to go to Four Houses tomorrow, I want to sit here and watch Christmas movies in our pajamas and eat leftover turkey. Great. Then maybe you should do that. And you call people and you're just like, we're not going to make it. We're exhausted. We need to rest. We need self-care. And we've decided as a whole family, we need to stay in and just be with each other. Right? And this is one of those things. Remember that other people can do whatever they want. They can accept what you say, they can reject it, they can criticize it, they can be offended, whatever it is. That's just a reflection on them, really. If it's something like, oh, I was so looking forward to seeing you, then, make that compromise. Well, let's get together on this date. Let's do this. Let's do whatever, right? But really to push your guys, to push yourself, to push your family so far that you're actually just going to make everybody sick, that's going to get you nowhere either. You're just going to, add to the misery of the stress and all of that. So really just think back why you're doing this stuff, right? And I love Christmas. I hope you guys can enjoy it as much as I do. I hope you find all the wonderfulness of just, taking in the glow of the trees, the lights outside. I don't know if you guys do this. I still, to this day, like, now we walk around the neighborhood because we're in Mexico. But when we were still in Alberta, we get hot chocolate. I get my blanket. I put on my PJs and we go in the truck and we would drive around and look at the lights every year and just, just take them in and love them and appreciate them. And just like, yeah, it's so wonderful. Which is part of having, is just to be in the moment, take it in, appreciate it, and feel like the happiness, the joy that whatever that thing is gives you. And just to really get back to those basic things. From someone, I saw a post on Facebook that said, oh, I wish that Christmas felt like when I was a kid. Well, why can't it? What do you do now or don't do now that you used to do as a kid? Why can't you still do that? Why can't you have that magic? Right? Like, I don't know. I still have it. I still do. We go out, we look at the lights. I love wrapping up all the gifts, the Christmas movies. I still watch Charlie Brown's Christmas, Garfield's Christmas, all the old things that make me, because it makes me happy. There are no real rules here. We conform to these societal rules or neighborhood rules or whatever it might be that, shoulda, coulda, wouldas and all that. But really, why? Who says we have to do or don't do these things? So, oh, Christmas is just for kids. Says who? Right? So I don't know about how you guys feel about that, but even my dogs, like, I'm wrapping one of the gifts and my dog knows what a gift is and she is in there. She's like, is that for me? Is that for me? And I'm like, it's not for you. Get out of here. And they'll go periodically and they'll go and they'll sniff the gifts and look at us and we're like, not yet. It's not Christmas yet. and just to enjoy. So even though we don't have kids, we still get kind of that little excitement through them because they're waiting for Christmas to open their gifts too. And then I get all excited with them and I'm like, I know we got to wait till Christmas. And again, who says we can't enjoy that? So what makes you happy? What is that magic of Christmas? I remember when my boyfriend, when we first met, he wasn't big on Christmas. And I literally just asked him, what makes Christmas special for you? And he had to think. And he's like, actually, we would go and cut down our own tree. He's like, I really enjoyed that. That was meaningful for me. I'm like, great. So I Googled tree farms. And then we started going to a tree farm. We actually ended up going to one of his buddies' actual farms afterwards. And we go and literally cut down our own tree for Christmas. And it just helped spark that back into him. And slowly over time, he starts enjoying it a little more. And yeah, so I would really love, if you don't currently just love Christmas and you don't really fully enjoy it, ask yourself, like, what makes Christmas you and why aren't you currently doing that? Can you still do that, right? So all right, guys. I could go on about Christmas. It's like I said, it's my favorite. I just love it. So mind your expectations. If something is really feeling off, you hate it, you don't want to do it, ask yourself why you're doing it. Get those pressures and you have to get them out of your head. There's no real rules. You celebrate how you want, you eat what you want, you go on. Heck, I have a ton of clients that started going to tropical places for Christmas and they're just like, whatever, we enjoy it. Great. This is one of those things, like, some people hate this saying, but I think it's apt. You do you. What makes you and your family happy? And get into that, right? Life is too short to be worried about everyone else all the time. What makes you happy? Why are you doing it? And make sure it resonates for you and your family. So yeah, I guess Christmas is on Wednesday already. So guys, have a very Merry Christmas. I hope you just have the best Christmas you can. And remember, for things we choose to do that we have to do, remember, you're still making that choice. So accept it. Don't be upset about it. You're choosing to do it, and remember the reasons why, because it makes my mom really happy. I don't like doing it, but it makes her really happy. So I'm going to choose to do it. And then pull in that positivity of, I'm making my mom happy by doing this, instead of being like, I hate doing this. Pull out those positives. Stay in that realm of happiness, or at least somewhat happiness. And yeah, I hope you guys have the best Christmas you can, and you really just relax, get that self-care in there. Like I said, I love just being a couch potato and filling my face. That I just love it. I work out extra afterwards, but I just love it. It does make me really happy. So I hope you have the best Christmas you can have. And I can't wait, if you want to let me know what you're doing, something that's very meaningful for you, that makes Christmas special for you, that really excites you and brings you joy this time of year. Let me know. I love hearing about stuff like that. And yeah, I will. You know what? I don't know if I'll pop on Boxing Day. That's a holiday in Canada. So maybe I'll come on Friday. Maybe next Friday I'll pop on instead of the Thursday. And and come talk at y'all. You can leave me some comments. Maybe I'll see how everything went for everybody. So have a very, very Merry Christmas.